A decade of DelmarvaLife. You know, through the years, we've lost a few we had grown to love, including this man, Matt Haley of Rehoboth Beach. The man credited with the creation of Sodell Concepts, an entrepreneur, a humanitarian. We could go on and on with the accolades.
We really could. If you ever had the pleasure of meeting Matt, you experienced his infectious love for life. Sadly, his life ended almost 8 years ago from injuries suffered in a motorcycle crash while he was in Nepal. Now, the thing about Matt, though, is his legacy truly lives on.
Oh, it sure does. He's one of those people who, when you think of him, you can't help but think of all the good he left behind. Well, today we want to revisit some of our time that we spent with Matt, and you'll see exactly what we mean.
These are my girls.
Matt Haley of Rehoboth Beach lights up when he talks about his 3 daughters in Kathmandu, India.
The girls are the most amazing thing in my life. You know, they are fantastic, and their names are Leela, Lakshmi, and Jyoti, and they bring in me more joy than I could ever have imagined.
23 years ago, it would take quite an imagination to ever predict he would ever be in a place where he could take care of himself, let alone orphans half a world away. Haley grew up in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. with his 3 brothers and a sister. His mother left his father following years of abuse. That's when Matt says his trouble started.
That I started acting out, behaving, you know, in an inappropriate manner for a 5, 6, 7-year-old.
And that behavior snowballed as he became a young man.
The progression of alcohol use into drug use, into low-level drugs and into higher-level drugs. And as that happened, things got worse and my mind got worse.
In fact, Haley says he was so deep into drugs, he couldn't see a way back out.
You know, I knew there was no turning back, and in the back of my mind, I thought I'd be lucky if I made it till I was 30. And in a way, that came true. You know, I just didn't think I would be around that long. And then as I progressed in that type of life, my mind just started to, like, you know, crumble.
And then there was rock bottom.
My lowest point, I don't know. I've had so many of them. You know, and maybe my lowest point was my highest point was the day they came to get me, you know, because the feeling of impending doom, I mean, at that point, my mind was pretty much gone. So I don't know if I could really actually tap into the emotion at that time, but I was so sick.
Matt was arrested.
And they basically hogtied me and put me to the ground.
And served 4 years. It was the time spent in a rehabilitation center in Virginia that led to Matt's career in the restaurant business.
So I don't know why, but they gave me a gift certificate to buy a knife and a roll of bus tokens. And then I had a list of 8 people to go to work with, you know, to go try to get a job with.
Matt worked his way up to a point where he, with some help from investors, was able to open a restaurant in Bethesda, Maryland.
I opened a restaurant called Tommy Joe's in Bethesda, Maryland, named it after my little brother Tommy, who has asked me to never name a restaurant after him again. And it was great. And then something just didn't work, you know.
So Matt packed up and moved to the beach.
I drove by a place called Luna Tuna Cafe in North Bethany Seafood, and literally by the time I got halfway past the property, I looked over it and I said, I'm going to own that property.
Eventually, he did buy what's now Blue Coast Seafood Grill.
Opened a restaurant, you know, with 7 people working there. The first night we were open, we did 17 dinners and we were like excited.
Matt says everything was going gangbusters.
We had a fantastic summer. It was slow, but we built as we needed. The next thing I knew, we had like 30 employees and we were busy and people actually liked the food. You know, I was like, oh my God, they actually like us.
Then the world changed. 9/11 happened.
That was a huge thing for me because we were on the verge of going bankrupt and losing everything. And that's actually when I had the experiences I had that off season where I decided that, man, I'm in this community and I want to be a part of it, because I had people that we could not pay and they said, we're gonna continue to sell to you. You know, lots of different companies. I couldn't pay them for 120, 150 days. And they said, It doesn't matter. We believe in you. We believe in what you're doing.
And because of that, Matt's restaurant pulled through. In fact, Matt opened 5 more restaurants in 5 years. Today, he owns 7 restaurants, a management and consultant company, a catering company, even a film company.
It wasn't about money. It was about creativity and expression and being able to be a part of a community and hiring people.
But Matt's life really changed after attending a fundraising event for Nepal, India. At the event, it was this face that caught his attention.
A woman tapped me on my shoulder and said, "Hey, can I tell you a little bit about Leela?" And a minute into it, I was like, "I'm in." And then I found out 2 minutes later she had a sister. I said, "I can't take one without the other." What started out as some letter writing and check writing, a year later I woke up in this house upstairs, panicking and like in tears, and I rolled over and booked a flight to Nepal.
Matt met the 2 girls, and as it turned out, they had another sister, which he helped locate. That trip led to several other trips to help other children. Haley eventually established the Global Delaware Fund to build schools and provide clean living conditions. Matt also pays it forward here on Delmarva, volunteering time with the Boys and Girls Club, La Esperanza, food banks, the list goes on.
It started out with doing beach cleans or little mini fundraisers or helping the turtles across the road, and that's how it kind of started. But it also started, within 12-step programs, where part of the theory there is you can't keep it if you don't give it away. So early on in my sobriety, I spent a lot of time trying to work with other people, trying to get sober.
And whether contributing his time and talent here on Delmarva or across the globe in India, Matt knows he's exactly where he needs to be.
I've done some very bad things in my life, but I wouldn't change a thing and I don't wish my life on anybody. I don't wish my experiences on anybody. I don't, wish any of that, but I wouldn't change a thing, because I would never risk not being right here, right now.
That is why we consider Matt Haley to be a Delmarva treasure. A treasure indeed. Now, one major milestone for Matt came in 2014 when he won the prestigious Humanitarian of the Year award from the James Beard Foundation.
I think the word we used earlier was the best. His joy for life was infectious.
Yeah.
Just be around him and you got caught up in it.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely. Well, up next on DelmarvaLife, we'll revisit just one of the many times Matt joined us in the DelmarvaLife kitchen. He always brought great food and lots of fun to the show.
A decade of DelmarvaLife. We'll be right back.
We're spending some time today looking back through this decade of DelmarvaLife, more specifically on the times we were honored to get to know restaurateur and humanitarian, the late Matt Haley.
Listen, the recipes that this guy could come up with off the top of his head in an instant would blow your mind. For instance, lobster roll with watermelon spice.
Matt Haley with Sodell Concepts Restaurant Group is here to show us, get this, how to make an easy lobster roll with a watermelon spice.
Watermelon spice is on the side, lobster roll is here, watermelon there, so I'm going to do both of them.
Okay, so is there something you can get us started on doing to...
Hey, I just want to tell you first.
I got to say, yeah, I'm sorry. Tell us what we're using in here specifically. What are our ingredients?
All kinds of stuff. But
Okay.
let me tell you first, I've been all over the world
Right?
the last 6 months.
Yeah.
India, Nepal, and the Himalayas, deserts, Cuba, all over the place. And there's nothing I get more excited about than to be at the shore during the holiday season to cook this style of food. So all the stuff I've eaten everywhere, it comes back to lobster rolls and watermelon, chicken and ribs, barbecue sauce, roadside barbecues, roadside stands, and it's just my exciting time of the year is now, July 4th and Labor Day, just cooking this kind of food, and we got great weather, it looks like, this weekend, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
This
You
is
heard it
awesome.
here.
Okay, so we
All
got
right.
lobster. What else we got here besides lobster?
I got lobster, I got watermelon, we got some homemade potato chips and onion rings, I got some shaved celery, made some homemade pickles out of local farm squash and cucumbers, lettuce, salt that was actually made out of the water in Fenwick Island. We make our own sea salt in the restaurants. We have Bethany Beach sea salt, Ocean City sea salt, Fenwick Island sea salt. It's pretty simple to do, actually. We filter the water very well, and then we put it in really skinny pans, so it gets really intensely hot, and you lay a little bit of water in at a time, and it evaporates, and what's left after about 15 scoops is a bunch of salt. And then you can flavor it any way you wanted. Here we took some chili and black pepper with salt, and we're going to apply that to the watermelon at the end, so it's going to be great. I have oregano and lemon here, little crushed red pepper, and then you put, these are about 1.25 pound lobsters, 1.5 pound lobsters, and you put them in and you bring it to a boil, then turn it to simmer. You never really want to boil any food. That's too aggressive for a lot of food.
Okay.
Bring it down, simmer a lobster for 8 to 12 minutes, depending on 1.25 pounds, and then this is what you have left over. And when it's left over, I want Lisa to pick it up.
Okay.
And see, here you have the tail. We pulled it out. Do not be afraid of the green or the red or the black. It's roe, it's eggs. It's very good to keep in. And then what you want to do is, I took a little scissor, you want to split it apart like this.
Right.
And then it's easy to pull the meat out with your fingers. It just comes out real easy. I'm trying not to get anything on your dress.
That's okay. That's
So it
okay.
comes
That's
out
what the
really
apron is
easy.
for. Okay.
Put it over here,
Right.
and then you have a claw right here that's pre-cracked, and all you do is pull the thumb out, and then pull the meat out.
All right.
Boom.
So that's like really good.
She's a
Before you
pro at
crack
this.
a claw, you just move this back and forth. It loosens everything's up, and then boom, and it pops right out. Here we're gonna just kind of slice this. Jimmy, you want to cut this lobster
Sure.
up?
What am I doing to it?
Yeah, just chop it up.
Just chop it up. I can do
Yeah,
that.
make some bite-sized pieces there if you can. So this lobster is just, it's fantastic. It's local. It was caught by a guy named Wes Thompson out of the Indian River Inlet, about
Thanks, Wes.
7-8 miles out.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
You know, remember, you talked about it earlier in the show. We had a lot of storms this year, so a lot of the local fishermen need as much help as you can possibly give them this year. So when you're out shopping and you're looking around, especially for shellfish, all their traps were destroyed. You know, make sure you're buying some good local stuff to support these guys, because they're way behind. Yeah,
In the bowl.
they're
All
way
right.
behind the 8 ball. Got going to the bowl here. Celery,
Right.
a little bit of salt,
Yeah.
a little bit of celery salt right here, and then some mayonnaise and a
Right.
spoon. That's all you need for a simple lobster salad. Is just these ingredients, and then at the
Okay.
end,
Look at this.
right now at the end, we just squeeze a little bit of lemon in. That's it, and then we have a lobster salad.
And that's
Okay,
it.
let's get to the watermelon spice.
Okay, watermelon
And you're done.
spice.
Wow. How about that?
We're gonna get on that right now. Let me just grab a quick rag from you.
Okay.
How to cut a watermelon? Pretty simple. You cut the ends off. Same thing with anything, with any type of melon, and then you cut the side. You cut down so you have a flat space, and then you cut down on the sides like this.
He makes it look so easy, doesn't he?
You have your beautiful watermelon here. You can still save a half if you want, and then we're gonna cut right down in the middle here. So you have a piece of watermelon. We're gonna go right to the plate with it like this. You can do anything you want to after this, but here you can cut it anywhere you want. I want to put a little lime on it.
Lime on watermelon. I never would have thought of
Lime
that.
on watermelon. Learned it from my mother a long time ago. And then this is that spicy salt we talked about. It's got chili peppers in it, black pepper, and salt locally made out of the waters. And then you can just, anything you want to do after that.
Now, Matt,
I'm gonna take a bite.
I got to tell you, Matt, I am a purist. I have always eaten just watermelon, nothing on it. Just,
Yeah,
so
this is
is
interesting.
I've never tasted anything
I
like
don't
this
know how to
ever.
describe it.
Is it great?
It is awesome.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
It is. It
I
is.
have never tasted anything like this.
I'm
We're going
gonna-
to try this.
So we want to let you know that we reached out to the crew at Sodell Concepts just to give them a heads up of what we're going to do today. Talking about Matt Haley. They love him, they miss him, and they told us Matt's motto of beautiful, simple food is celebrated through every dish that they create.
Oh, yeah. And you know, there's memories of Matt and his legacy all up and down Route 1.
Yes.
You go through, you know, as you go through Bethany and,
Yes.
and Rehoboth and Lewis, all that.
Amazing vision.
Yeah,
Amazing man.
absolutely.